Imagine this. You're standing on the bridge of a naval destroyer, the kind of vessel that costs more than the GDP of a small country. The Persian Gulf stretches out before you, its waters deceptively calm under the harsh Middle Eastern sun. You can feel the vibration of the ship's engines through the deck plates beneath your feet, hear the constant chatter of radio traffic in your headset, smell the salt air mixed with jet fuel from the aircraft preparing for launch. Your radar screens show exactly what you expect to see. American ships maintaining their patrol routes, commercial traffic moving through established shipping lanes, everything following the predictable dance of maritime operations that's been playing out here for decades. And then, in less time than it takes to draw a breath, everything changes. The $1.5 billion pride of Iran's naval fleet, the Iris Sahand, a Mudge-class frigate bristling with Chinese-supplied anti-ship missiles and Russian radar systems, suddenly finds itself bracketed by targeting solutions from 3 different directions simultaneously. This isn't a movie. This happened in the Strait of Hormuz in February 2026. And what the United States Navy did next, absolutely no one saw coming. But before I show you the most sophisticated display of networked warfare ever executed in these contested waters, let me be straight with you. This breakdown is based on real technology, real tactics, and real capabilities that exist right now in 2026. I've dramatized the scenario so you can actually understand how multi-domain operations actually work, because trust me, the truth is way more intense than any Hollywood script. So buckle up. 0347 hours, February 9th, 2026. 23 nautical miles east of the Strait of Hormuz, in international waters that have witnessed more tension than perhaps any other stretch of ocean on Earth. The Iris Sahand cuts through the dark water at 18 knots, its captain confident in his mission profile. The frigate is conducting what Iranian Naval Command calls a sovereignty patrol, a demonstration of presence designed to remind everyone that these waters, despite what international law says, are contested space. Aboard the vessel are 140 crew members, 8 C-802 anti-ship cruise missiles with a range of 120 kilometers, a 76mm main gun, and enough electronic warfare equipment to make the ship's radar cross-section appear larger and more threatening than it actually is. 3 commercial tankers are transiting the strait, carrying crude oil worth $180 million combined. The Sahand's orders are clear. Close to within 12 nautical miles, activate fire control radar to paint the American destroyer USS Porter providing escort, capture the reaction on video, and broadcast it through Iranian state media as proof of American weakness. Here's where it gets absolutely wild. What Captain Mehdi Kashani doesn't know, what he cannot possibly know because his Chinese-made radar systems aren't sophisticated enough to detect it, is that for the past 42 minutes, his ship has been swimming inside a surveillance bubble so comprehensive, so technologically advanced, that every electronic emission, every radio transmission, every radar pulse his ship produces is being cataloged, analyzed, and weaponized against him. The Americans know the exact location of every weapon system on his ship. They know which crew members are currently at battle stations and which are below deck. They know that his fire control radar is warming up 3 minutes from active status. They know about the camera crew positioned on the forward deck, ready to film what Iran believes will be another propaganda victory. And the craziest part? The USS Porter that Kashani believes is his target isn't even the real threat. The destroyer visible on his radar, the one his weapons officers are preparing targeting solutions for, is actually the least dangerous American asset in the area. The real danger is invisible to him, submerged beneath the waves, orbiting 20,000 feet above his head, and lurking in the electromagnetic spectrum his equipment can't even detect. How do you defeat an enemy who doesn't know they're already surrounded? Because they have a secret weapon. The Iris Sahand is equipped with the Chinese Type 364 surface search radar, a system that Beijing assured Tehran could detect American stealth ships at ranges up to 50 nautical miles. The frigate also carries the Russian FAF 40 missile system recently delivered as part of a $500 million arms deal that made headlines across Western intelligence agencies. Iranian naval doctrine, heavily influenced by Revolutionary Guard Corps asymmetric warfare principles, teaches that speed, surprise, and the willingness to accept casualties can overcome American technological superiority. Captain Kashani has wargame scenarios exactly like this one during his training. He knows the USS Porter carries 90 vertical launch cells loaded with SM, 2 missiles, Tomahawks, and anti-submarine rockets. He knows American doctrine prioritizes de-escalation, that rules of engagement require American commanders to demonstrate restraint, to absorb the first punch before responding. His confidence isn't misplaced. It's based on 2 decades of Iranian fast attack boats harassing American vessels in these same waters, filming close encounters, and withdrawing before things escalate beyond posturing. They have absolutely no idea that 5,000 feet directly beneath the Sahan's keel, a Virginia-class attack submarine has been matching their course and speed for the past 2 hours. Something that can hear conversations taking place on the frigate's bridge through passive sonar, so sensitive it can detect the mechanical stress in the ship's hull plates. Something that's about to turn their propaganda operation into the most embarrassing tactical retreat in Iranian naval history. Now here's where the United States Navy does something so brilliant, so calculated, it'll make your jaw drop. The USS Porter could simply illuminate the Sahan with fire control radar, electronic warning that says, we can hit you whenever we want. But that's predictable, expected. It provides Iran with exactly the confrontational footage they're hoping to capture, American aggression, that plays well to domestic audiences and provides justification for future provocations. The Americans could maneuver away, maintaining separation, de-escalating through absence. But that signals weakness, emboldens future harassment, and potentially puts commercial shipping at greater risk. But that's not how the United States Navy fights anymore. Because at this exact moment, an EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft operating from a USS Gerald R. Ford strike group positioned 120 miles to the east activates its ELQ-99 tactical jamming pods. From Captain Cashani's perspective, nothing dramatic happens. There's no explosion, no missile launch, no aggressive maneuver from the USS Porter. Instead, his radar operators begin reporting something far more disturbing: intermittent contact loss. The American destroyer visible on their screens begins to fade in and out, its returns becoming inconsistent, unreliable. You know what that signal means? It means we own your sensor picture. We control what you see and what you don't see. Your entire operational reality exists at our discretion. The psychological impact on the Sahan's bridge is immediate and devastating. Officers trained to trust their instruments suddenly find themselves navigating by doubt. Is the American ship where the radar says it is? Are there other vessels their systems aren't showing them? Has their entire technological advantage just been neutralized by an enemy they can't even see? Because they just realized that the Americans aren't just better equipped, they're fighting in a completely different dimension of warfare. And what happens in the next 18 minutes will rewrite everything you thought you knew about naval combat in contested waters. Look, if you want to see how this ends, if you want to know what that submarine does next, what secret capabilities the USS Porter possesses that never make it into mainstream media reports, and how Iran's $1.5 billion frigate becomes a case study in the absolute futility of challenging American sea control, you need to keep watching, because I'm about to show you the intelligence harvest, the cyber warfare penetration, and the final humiliation that makes this incident something Iranian naval commanders will study as a warning for the next generation. But real quick, if you support the sailors who face provocations like this every single day, protecting global commerce and freedom of navigation in the world's most dangerous waters, drop a 1 in the comments right now. Show them we have their backs. And smash that subscribe button, because we're breaking down real tactical operations that the mainstream media won't touch, the classified technologies, the strategic calculations, the behind-the-scenes decision-making that determines who actually owns the battle space. Trust me, what you're about to see in the next few minutes, you'll be texting your friends about it tonight. Now let's get back to the Strait of Hormuz. 0351 hours, 4 minutes after the electronic warfare aircraft begins its jamming operation. The Americans activate what intelligence officers call comprehensive situational dominance, a network of sensors so integrated that the battle space becomes transparent to friendly forces while remaining completely opaque to adversaries. High above the engagement area, an RQ-4 Global Hawk surveillance drone orbits at 60,000 feet, so high that it's invisible to the naked eye and nearly impossible for the Sahan's radar to track consistently. Its synthetic aperture radar can see through clouds, darkness, and electromagnetic interference to create a photorealistic map of everything happening below. Think of it as Google Earth, but real-time, with thermal imaging, and capable of tracking individual people walking on a ship's deck. The Global Hawk sees the Sahan's entire deck layout. It counts the exact number of personnel at each station. It monitors the heat signatures from the ship's engines, weapon systems, and electronic warfare suite. It can tell when the frigate's fire control radar transitions from standby to active mode by detecting the temperature increase in the system's cooling units. The Iranians see a destroyer 14 miles away that keeps fading from their screens. The Americans see a complete three-dimensional tactical picture that includes water temperature gradients perfect for submarine operations, real-time wind conditions affecting radar performance, and the exact composition of the Sahan's defensive posture down to which sailors are currently smoking cigarettes on the weather deck. The advantage isn't incremental, it's existential. 0356 hours, 11 minutes into the engagement. Captain Kashani, increasingly frustrated by his degrading sensor picture, makes a decision that tactical manuals will later classify as catastrophically counterproductive. He orders his communications officer to broadcast an open challenge to the USS Porter on international maritime frequencies, accusing the Americans of violating Iranian territorial waters and demanding they alter course. The transmission is in Farsi and English. It's designed to be recorded to document Iranian assertiveness for state media consumption. What Kashani doesn't realize is that he's just provided the Americans with a gift more valuable than any intelligence satellite could deliver: confirmation of his emotional state, evidence of his tactical confusion, and legal documentation that he initiated the confrontation. The Americans don't respond verbally. Instead, they speak in a language of advanced warfare. The USS Porter, which has been maintaining a steady course at 12 knots, suddenly demonstrates a capability that shouldn't be possible for a destroyer of its class. Its radar cross-section, the electronic size that appears on enemy sensors, reduces to nearly zero. On the Sahan screens, the American warship simply vanishes. Not because it's left the area, but because the Porter's integrated electromagnetic countermeasures have created what radar engineers call a hole in space, an area where radar waves are absorbed, deflected, or returned in ways that make detection impossible. For the first time in this engagement, Kashani realizes his fundamental miscalculation. He brought a knife to a gunfight, and the gun isn't even visible. 0403 hours, 16 minutes into what was supposed to be a routine propaganda operation. While Iranian state media prepares to broadcast yet another narrative of Revolutionary Guard boldness standing up to American imperialism, a different kind of truth-teller arrives on station. This is an MQ-9 Reaper drone, but not the weapons-carrying variant that makes headlines when it eliminates terrorist leaders. This version carries the Gorgon Stare surveillance package, a pod containing 9 electro-optical cameras that can record everything happening across a 4-square-mile area simultaneously, in high definition, with forensic-quality detail. The Iranians believe that whatever happens in the next few minutes will be documented by their cameras, edited by their media ministry, and broadcast with voice-over narration explaining American weakness and Iranian strength. They are catastrophically wrong. The Gorgon Stare system records from multiple angles simultaneously, with timestamps synchronized to GPS atomic clocks accurate to within nanoseconds. It captures not just what happens, but the exact sequence of events, making it impossible to edit, distort, or misrepresent the timeline. Think of it as having 9 CSI forensic photographers circling the scene, all recording simultaneously with metadata that proves exactly what occurred and when. The system captures Captain Kashani's initial provocative maneuver, his ship turning to present its weapons bearing to the USS Porter. It records the exact moment the Sahan's fire control radar goes active, electronically painting the American destroyer. It documents the positioning of the Iranian camera crew, proving this was a planned propaganda operation rather than a defensive patrol. The result, an unimpeachable record of Iranian aggression, American restraint, and the complete tactical dominance of U.S. forces. The footage shows no American weapons fired, no aggressive maneuvering, no violations of international law. Just the Sahan's increasingly desperate attempts to regain sensor contact with a target that appears and disappears at will. The video doesn't show an American attack. It shows an Iranian ship shadowboxing with an opponent who isn't even engaged in the fight. Within 6 hours, carefully edited portions of this footage, with classified capabilities redacted but the tactical timeline fully intact, will be provided to Allied naval commands, shared with insurance companies that set premiums for commercial shipping through the strait, and quietly distributed to diplomatic channels where nations are deciding whether to support Iranian maritime claims. The Iranian attempt at propaganda victory is surgically decapitated before it can even take its first breath. The Gorgon Stare has performed its mission. Iran's credibility lies in pieces on the international stage. 0409 hours, 22 minutes into an engagement that Captain Kashani now desperately wants to end. The USS Porter, having successfully demonstrated that it can vanish from Iranian sensors at will, decides to deliver a more tangible reminder of American maritime dominance. The destroyer is an Arleigh Burke-class flight IIA vessel, displacing 9,200 tons, powered by 4 General Electric LM 2500 gas turbines producing 100,000 horsepower and carrying more firepower than most nations' entire navies. But those specifications, impressive as they sound, aren't what makes the Porter truly dangerous. The Iranians calculate that at current range, now down to approximately 11 nautical miles, their C-802 anti-ship missiles could reach the American destroyer in roughly 90 seconds if launched. They've maneuvered to a position where, theoretically, they could get off a salvo before American countermeasures could respond. It's a tactical calculation based on Cold War naval doctrine. The side that shoots first often wins. Captain Kashani orders his weapon systems to achieve full readiness. It's meant as a signal, a show of capability designed to force American withdrawal. But the United States Navy doesn't speak with anti-ship missiles in situations like this. It speaks with physics. 0411 hours, the Porter's Mark 45 5-inch gun turret rotates smoothly to a bearing that places it aimed not at the Sahand, but at the water 800 meters off the Iranian frigate's bow. The gun fires a single round, not an explosive shell, but specialized practice round designed for exactly this type of message sending. The projectile impacts the water at precisely calculated range, generating a massive geyser of spray that towers 40 feet into the air, clearly visible from the Sahand's bridge, even in the pre-dawn darkness. What happens next is a masterclass in psychological warfare. The Iranians understand immediately what that shot represents. American fire control systems are accurate enough to place a 5-inch shell exactly where they want it, when they want it there. The computers aboard the Porter calculated wind speed, water temperature, ship motion, and a dozen other variables to put that practice round exactly 800 meters away. Not 801, not 799, but exactly where American doctrine specifies for a warning shot. The message is crystal clear. That round landed where we wanted it. The next one will too. Do you really want to find out what happens if we aim 6 degrees to starboard? Every officer on the Sahand's bridge is doing the same mental calculation right now. Their ship cost $1.5 billion. It represents years of Iranian shipbuilding investment, national prestige, and Revolutionary Guard core naval ambitions. One American destroyer, without even engaging its missile systems, has just demonstrated that it can reduce that investment to burning wreckage drifting in the current. The Porter isn't fighting. It's simply reminding Iran that absolute dominance doesn't require aggression, just the unmistakable demonstration of capability. 0414 hours, 3 minutes after the warning shot. In the Combat Information Center deep inside the Sahand, Iranian commanders are watching their displays with what had been growing confidence in their Russian-supplied electronic warfare suite. They believe their Chinese radar systems, their Russian missiles, and their Iranian-developed cyber capabilities give them at least defensive parity with American technology. A team of Revolutionary Guard Corps electronic warfare specialists are present, along with 2 technical advisors from China's Naval Technology Export Division. They're about to witness the most expensive education in modern electronic warfare ever purchased. Somewhere within the American battle network, an electronic warfare specialist aboard the EA-18G Growler orbiting 40 miles away initiates Operation Silent Degradation. It's been mapping the Sahand's electronic emissions for 24 minutes, cataloging every radar frequency, identifying every communications channel, fingerprinting every electronic system on the Iranian frigate until it knows the ship's electromagnetic signature better than the designers who built it. Now, it initiates a technique that represents the cutting edge of non-kinetic warfare. The Growler doesn't just jam the Sahand systems. That would be crude, obvious. Instead, it performs what electronic warfare specialists call cognitive injection, the insertion of false data that's sophisticated enough to bypass basic countermeasures, but subtle enough to appear legitimate to human operators. The technique exploits a fundamental vulnerability in Iranian radar processing. The systems filter and prioritize contacts based on threat assessment algorithms that can be manipulated if you know the exact mathematical models they use. And the Americans, thanks to intelligence provided by allies who examined identical Chinese systems, know exactly how those algorithms work. On the Sahand's radar displays, new contacts begin appearing. Not obvious fabrications, that would be detected immediately. Instead, the Americans generate ghost returns that match the radar signatures of commercial traffic. Tankers that don't exist. Fishing vessels that aren't there. each false contact calibrated perfectly to appear legitimate, cluttering the Iranian tactical picture with noise indistinguishable from real shipping. The Combat Information Center becomes chaos. Radar operators calling out new contacts. Fire control officers trying to distinguish real targets from phantoms. The commanding officer demanding confirmation of what's real and what's not. And then the systems crash. Not just radar failure, complete catastrophic system failure. The main search radar drops offline, its processors overwhelmed by the volume of data they're trying to process. The backup system kicks in, runs for 17 seconds, then fails in exactly the same way. The fire control computer, unable to resolve targeting solutions for the phantom contacts flooding its processing capacity, defaults to safe mode and locks out all weapons systems. The communications suite begins broadcasting on random frequencies, its transmission protocols corrupted by precisely crafted electromagnetic interference that makes the equipment behave as if it's malfunctioning rather than being jammed. In the span of 43 seconds, the $1.5 billion pride of Iran's naval modernization program is reduced to a blind, deaf, electronically impotent hulk drifting in international waters, with every critical system either crashed or compromised. The Americans haven't just defeated the Sahan's electronics. They've turned it into a case study in why challenging American information dominance is institutional suicide. China's promise of fourth-generation electronic warfare capabilities has been decapitated by techniques that represent fifth-generation thinking. And for the first time since leaving port 3 days ago, the Iranian leadership realizes that their entire naval investment strategy is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how modern warfare actually works. 0419 hours, 28 minutes into what Captain Kashani now recognizes as a disaster. While his crew desperately attempts to reboot radar systems and restore basic communications, a message arrives through the silent channels of signals intelligence that Iranian military maintains for exactly these emergencies. Information is deliberately leaked across Iranian communications networks that American monitoring assets know will be intercepted. The USS Kentucky, an Ohio-class guided missile submarine, has just reached patrol depth 63 miles southeast of the Strait of Hormuz. Their payload, 154 BGM, 109 Tomahawk cruise missiles, also known as the Strategic Attitude Adjustment. This is the weapon system designed for a singular purpose, the surgical decapitation of high-value targets protected by sophisticated air defenses. Each Tomahawk carries a 1,000-pound warhead, flies at 550 miles per hour, close enough to the ground to evade most radar systems, and can hit a target the size of a small building from 1,000 miles away. The guidance system is accurate enough to choose which window of which building it wants to hit. The Ohio-class submarine can launch its entire payload in 6 minutes. From the moment of launch, Iranian coastal air defense installations have approximately 12 minutes of warning before 154 individual cruise missiles begin impacting targets across the southern coast of Iran. Every Revolutionary Guard Corps naval base, every radar installation, every missile depot, every command center within range becomes simultaneously vulnerable. This isn't deterrence theory. It's mathematical certainty with a countdown clock. Iranian leadership is forced into an impossible calculation. Is harassing one American destroyer worth losing their entire southern naval infrastructure? The message from Washington is ice cold and mathematically precise. Your frigate can continue its current course of action. The USS Porter will maintain proportional response posture. But understand that proportional response includes options that extend well beyond that single engagement. The Kentucky is on station. We recommend careful consideration of escalation paths. The submarine isn't speculation or bluff. Iranian underwater sensors detected its transit into the area. It's sitting at depth right now, its exact location unknown, but its presence undeniable. The question isn't if it can accomplish its mission. The question is whether anyone in Tehran wants to be responsible for giving the order that requires it to. 0424 hours, 33 minutes into the engagement, the Strait of Hormuz reaches its final, humiliating act. Faced with disabled electronic systems that his technical specialists cannot restore, an American destroyer that his weapons cannot reliably target, and intelligence reports of a submarine carrying enough firepower to cripple Iran's entire southern naval infrastructure, Captain Kashani realizes his propaganda operation has been systematically dismantled. Without broadcasting his intentions, without coordinating with Naval Command, without even acknowledging the American presence, the Iris Sahand begins a turn to port that will take it back toward Iranian territorial waters. The turn is executed at maximum sustainable speed, with none of the precision or dignity that naval maneuvering normally exhibits. It's the nautical equivalent of sprinting away from a fight you just discovered you were never going to win. But as the frigate comes about, the Americans deliver a final twist that doesn't just defeat the Iranians. It humiliates them. Remember the Virginia-class submarine that had been shadowing the Sahand from below? The one that Iranian sonar never detected? It found something else. 2 months earlier, Iranian state media had reported that a Revolutionary Guard Corps fast attack boat suffered collision with an unidentified submerged object during nighttime operations in these same waters. The incident resulted in moderate hull damage and forced the vessel into dry dock for repairs. Iranian Naval Command blamed the collision on an American submarine operating recklessly in waters claimed by Iran. But the object involved wasn't an American submarine. It was an autonomous underwater vehicle, a Snakehead extra-large unmanned underwater vehicle, launched from a Virginia-class submarine, capable of operating independently for 70 days while conducting persistent surveillance of Iranian naval activities. For 2 months, this unmanned system had been mapping the Sahand's operational patterns, recording electronic signatures, photographing hull characteristics, and transmitting intelligence back to American submarines that periodically came within data link range. The Iranians never knew it was there. Their Russian-supplied sonar never detected it. Their Chinese advisors never warned them that such systems existed. The only thing the Revolutionary Guard Corps managed to accomplish with that collision was damaging their own fast attack boat while accidentally revealing the Snakehead's presence, forcing the Americans to recover it and deploy an even more sophisticated replacement that Iranian systems definitely cannot detect. The USS Porter doesn't chase the retreating Sahand. There's no need. While the frigate limps back toward territorial waters with its crew frantically trying to restore basic systems, American intelligence analysts are already compiling the comprehensive after-action report that will be distributed to every Allied naval command by morning. Victory isn't measured in destroyed ships or lost lives. It's measured in completely dominating the information space, demonstrating technological superiority so overwhelming that adversaries think twice before attempting future provocations, and ensuring that every nation operating in these waters understands exactly who owns the battle space. During these 33 minutes of engagement, the United States Navy accomplished something far more valuable than a tactical win. They harvested complete electronic intelligence profiles of China's latest export radar systems, confirmed vulnerabilities in Russian-supplied missile technology that can be exploited in future confrontations, demonstrated to commercial shipping insurers that American escort guarantees are credible, and provided every nation contemplating Iranian naval partnerships with high-definition evidence of exactly how outmatched Iran's fleet actually is. The Sahand thought it was the hunter, operating in familiar waters, with technological advantages provided by America's adversaries, and with tactical doctrines designed to exploit perceived American reluctance to escalate. Instead, it provided a $1.5 billion data donation to American intelligence. For free. The lesson here is absolute and unavoidable. Modern naval warfare is no longer about tonnage, missile counts, or even tactical positioning. It's about who owns the information, who can see without being seen, who can strike without being targeted, who can dominate the electromagnetic spectrum, the undersea domain, and the psychological battle space simultaneously. This is the reality of American naval power in 2026. A system of systems philosophy where submarines, surface ships, aircraft, satellites, and cyber warfare capabilities operate as a unified network, and where adversaries discover too late that they were never fighting a single destroyer. They were fighting a network that spans from the ocean floor to orbital space, with every sensor feeding data into decision-making systems that process battlefield information faster than human commanders can even comprehend what's happening. Now here's my question for you. Was the United States Navy right to demonstrate restraint, to defeat the Iranian provocation without firing weapons directly at the Sahand, proving dominance through electronic warfare and psychological pressure? Or should the warning shot have been followed by a direct strike on Iranian naval infrastructure, sending an even more forceful message about the consequences of threatening commercial shipping and harassing American vessels? Drop your answer in the comments. Type restraint wins if you think the measured response was the right tactical and strategic choice, or type strike hard if you think a kinetic response would have been more effective at preventing future provocations. And if you want to see more deep dive tactical breakdowns like this, analyzing the technology, strategy, and psychology of modern naval warfare, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. We've got episodes coming on hypersonic missile defense, the coming submarine warfare revolution, and why China's naval expansion might be building toward a strategic blunder they can't reverse. One final note, this scenario is a high-stakes fictional simulation designed for educational and strategic analysis purposes. While the technologies, doctrines, and capabilities featured are based on real-world systems and publicly available military information, the specific engagement is dramatized to illustrate how modern naval warfare doctrine actually functions in contested environments. The Strait of Hormuz remains the most strategically important 39 kilometers of water on Earth. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next deployment. Stay sharp, stay informed, and never underestimate what happens when you challenge a force that's been planning for exactly your type of provocation for the last 50 years.